Good afternoon and welcome to Audiotree Live. The date is Friday, July 22nd. We are so pleased to have with us live in the studio, Mobley. Studio with Mobley. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You used to tour with a full band, and now you're obviously this amazing one-man multitasking operation. What was the process like arriving at that? Was there a lot of trial and error before you arrived at this sort of perfect stage setup?
Yeah, it happened over time without me really realizing it was happening. It was a 4-piece, and then it was a 3-piece, so I kind of picked up the slack of the fourth guy, and then it was a 2-piece, and I kind of picked up the slack of the third guy, and then I still have a drummer, but he wasn't able to make it on this tour, and so the choice was between playing an acoustic set or like doing the songs as I imagined them, and so I had to figure out how to, incorporate drums, and so it happened. I mean, there was trial and error, but it felt really organic. Like, it felt like it made sense. It was the next logical step.
Totally. Yeah, I can't really picture the songs acoustic, but have you done them like that before?
I have, yeah. A lot of times that's how they start, and then, they grow into, these other things.
Yeah, when they always say, I mean, any song should sound good just being played acoustic, right? Like
that's what they say. I'm not entirely sure that's true. Like, if it's got a cool breakbeat or something, that can be as important as the chords, you know, but but still, like.
Yeah, you understand the conceit,
Yeah.
at least, even if it's
Yeah.
not something that that you think is totally true. Like, I
Sure.
guess not every death metal song is going to sound great, probably.
Right,
on-
or every hip hop song or whatever.
Yeah, like on an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar. And you also have a really great visual setup. The footage that's playing during these songs, I know you do have music videos for some of them, but the this sort of footage of people walking around like on an old video camera, was that made specifically for this song for Victoria?
So that particular video is a lot of times I'll either shoot something or I'll use found footage or use stuff that's in the public domain. But that particular video is a police dash cam video.
Oh, wow.
There was an old man in Seattle who was using a golf club as a cane, and somebody found that threatening, and he wound up getting arrested for it pretty violently.
Yeah.
And that song is about police brutality, so it's germane to the concept.
So it made sense for that. And would you say that every song has accompanying footage that really is tied specifically to it, or is some of it a little bit more, transformative in general?
It's the connections are more or less abstract than that. That's about as one-to-one as the connections get. But they all somehow refer to the emotional content of the song. Yeah.
Totally awesome. Well, let's hear another one, shall we?
Absolutely.
I'm on the scene of something luminous and frightening. Run up your colors, baby, be the thing you couldn't let us see. Oh, we are simple in the breaking as a binding. When the fever breaks, I hope you make a go of it. When the fever shakes, I hope it doesn't leave you. Oh, don't you wake up wondering how to keep this going. Don't you wonder the world we made it out so far. Don't you wake up wondering how to keep this going. Don't you wonder how the world we made it out so. A less original retreat if I'm unblooded by the blows of those that's fighting me. But if they cut me deep, I'll be the liar, be the thief, I'll be the animal you'll taste it when you bite me. When my fire fades, I hope I made a go of it. When my part is played, I hope I take it back now. I take it back now. I wanna hide on the seals. I bit the bullet and I choked it sanguine down. I'm gonna find a release. You take the high, take the low road. I take the high, you take the low road. Freight trains crashing. Wake up wondering how to keep this going. Don't you wonder how the world made it out so far. Don't you wake up wondering how to keep this going. Don't you wonder how the world made it out so far. Don't you wake up wondering how to keep this going. Don't you wonder how the world made it out so far? Don't you wake up wondering how to keep this going? Don't you wonder how the world made it out so?
You're watching Audiotree Live. We are here in the studio with Mobley. Your comment before about police brutality reminded me of something you said about your upcoming full-length Fresh Lies, about how it's a relationship album, but it can be very much about the relationship with your country, with America,
Right.
as much as it could be, a partner. Would you say that the current EP, Some Other Country, which all these songs are from, is it sort of a prelude? Like, does it have the same sort of themes as Fresh Lies is going to have?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the songs on Some Other Country, the current EP, were culled from that, and this is kind of a sampler of both the musical and thematic tone of Fresh Lies, which is the full length. And yeah, the whole both records use that conceit of a love song, that you can enjoy on the level of a love song, but using it as a metaphor for my relationship as a black person, particularly a black man, with the United States of America.
Would you say that most of your fans are able to pick up on that more socio-political context, or do most of them view the songs as love songs, traditional love songs?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I'm always surprised. I think one of the things that becomes apparent early as an artist is that sometimes you know exactly how something is going to come across, and then other times, like, people just surprise you. Sometimes I think I'm doing something really subtle and that a couple people will notice and everybody sees it, and sometimes I think I'm being really blatant and nobody ever notices. So I don't know. I mean, I'm doing press and interviews and being open about it, so if they're reading that, then they know. But aside from that, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, totally. When you cast something out into the open as an artist, I feel like a lot of current artists do want to dictate how people see things. People like Jack White and whoever will get really kind of upset when people interpret things a certain way. Do you think there's any validity to that, or do you think once it's out in the open, it's like you have to kind of just release it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and I'm very exacting about my end of it. You know, I try to control and be as intentional and thoughtful about how I'm coming across as I can. But if without the audience, you're just like making noise in a room. You know what I mean? So they have a stake in it too. And if I say something and everybody says that it means something that I didn't realize it meant, then there's something to that. I don't exist alone in the world. So I think the artists and the audience make the meaning together.
So if someone comes up to you and is like, "Oh man, my girlfriend and I started dating. This is like our song," that's not going to upset you. Like
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. One, and also too, talking about your relationship with the country as a black person, you chose love songs though, and so would you say that a lot of the lyrics are, even though they have to do with romance, they're still somewhat contentious? They explore the tension and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a common thing that being a citizen, particularly being a citizen who has something like patriotism and being in love, is that you make yourself vulnerable. My father was a Marine. I grew up being very patriotic, and over time, as happens to everybody, I think, but particularly as happens to people who are in marginalized groups within this country, you become disillusioned and you realize the way things are actually operating, and so the shock of that, when you've left yourself so vulnerable and loving this place so unconditionally, is very similar to the shock of having your lover abuse your loyalty or your trust.
Totally. And it's even though there are problems, it's like you still want to love your country, right? You still want the best for it and everything.
Absolutely.
And you want the relationship to be a good one or a better one than it is right now and everything.
Right.
Awesome. Let's hear another song, shall we?
Sure.
Breath chasing breath, steps out of locking. There's no time for talking, no time for talking. You track us down if they see you got away. Right base and left, back roads are blocking. We must reach the cross, just reach the crossing before this county sees the light of day. I know the side of abandoned, but maybe I love you light enough to load this on your head. I've been patient, I've been steady, I've been waiting, I'm already seeing whoa. Tell me where you want me to be. Singing whoa. Will you tell me where you want me to be? Breath chasing breath, no time for talking. Heartbeats are knocking. By now they'll all have heard you got away. Life, pace, and death, back roads are clocking. We're just past the crossing, rush past the crossing. We can't go back no matter what they say. I hear the clatter of their calls within your head. He's a villain, you're a baby. Are you happy? Is he crazy? But maybe I need a ladder up the walls inside your head. But the old world in the rear view, I'm riding right here with you saying, whoa. Tell me where you want me to be. I'm singing, whoa. Tell me where you want me to be. I'm singing, whoa. Tell me where you want me to be. I'm singing, whoa. Tell me where you want me to be. I said, whoa, tell me where you want me to be. I said, whoa, tell me where you want me to be. Yeah, I said, I said, whoa, tell me where you want me to be.
You're watching Audiotree Live. We're here in the studio with Mobley. I hate to use genre terms when you're referring to musicians. Oh, sorry, I need to adjust something cool. I hate to use genre terms when referring to musicians just because I think it's more diverse than that. But I guess with acts like The Weeknd or Twin Shadow and yourself, for lack of a better word, R&B, synth pop, whatever you want to call it, do you think that those genres have gone to a more complex, nuanced, kind of darker place in recent years? Like, I feel like there weren't as many artists like you in The Weeknd, and I apologize if you don't like The Weeknd or anything. I'm lumping
I
you.
like The Weeknd.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, me too. And but I feel like that's sort of there's sort of this renaissance going on with that genre. Do you sense any kind of shift in R&B music in the past like decade or so?
I mean, I think the shift has more been in attention. I think the shift is that there's a spotlight pointing at it now. I think that people have been doing like really complex, intricate, dark, brooding, genre-defying things in what is termed R&B for a really long time. I just think the wheel of fashion and taste has spun around in such a way that people like that are kind of being pushed to the fore now, and that's great. But I think there's a really rich tradition of R&B music that is the predecessor of all this stuff that's kind of coming to popularity today.
What are some of the older acts then that you think would be like a predecessor to some of the people I mentioned?
It's tough because R&B is it's kind of a problematic genre label because it's so racialized, and guys and women who are making music that would otherwise be termed rock or pop or whatever get termed as R&B. So it's hard to say, you know
Totally.
what I mean? Like, is Marvin Gaye R&B? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's certainly complex and a genius and dark and brooding, and you know what I mean? So like I think it goes way back. It's such a moving target, you know. It's where you put, like, if Taylor Swift sang "I Can't Feel My Face," it's not an R&B song, or even like remotely R&B.
They'd call it a pop song.
Right, they would call it a pop song. So it's just it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
to even, you know, to even work out what people mean when they're saying that.
So do you think if Marvin Gaye, you know, had been white, he like what's going on or any of his great albums would just be considered rock or experimental rock or whatever it was back in the day?
Yeah, or pop or whatever. You know, it's just it's really amazing what a segregated industry music is, in terms of the way that it's charted, in terms of the way that it's consumed, and in terms of the way, like, what the color of the skin of a performer does to the way that people hear music. And I think it's like being somebody who's lived abroad and who's, you know, had my music exposed abroad. I think it's a uniquely American problem in the extent that we have it here. Like, the listeners can decide for themselves. I've been places and played the song that I just played and had it called rap.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense at all.
I would not call it rap.
Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because you have a brain.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
but,
that.
I mean, but if you're hearing with your eyes first, then this is a black guy wearing a baseball cap. It must be rap, you know. So I think all of that stuff has to come into play in terms of the way that you consider genre. Our camp has taken to calling it post-genre pop. But I mean, I love R&B. I love, you know, soul. I love all that stuff. So I'm not trying to distance myself from it. It's just more complex than that label is capable of capturing, I think.
Totally. Well, let's hear another post-genre pop song, shall we?
All right, absolutely.
Night falls, you're never gonna get my heart.
You're watching Audiotree Live. We are live in the studio with Mobley. I'm sure the answer is very simple, but the video for Swoon,
Yeah.
you obviously weren't holding your mouth in water the entire time. Was it just a split screen effect? How exactly did you film that?
Oh no, my mouth was underwater the whole time.
No, that's not true. Really?
Yeah.
No. How long can you hold your breath for? Or are you just
No,
taking me for a ride? Really?
No. So the way I shot it, I bought one of those pull-up bars and inversion boots and a fish tank.
Okay.
And hung upside down from the bar, and then had people fill it with water. Mm-hmm. So like when it appears that the water is coming down over my mouth, that's when the water got to my mouth.
Oh, okay, so it was like a reverse effect kind of thing. Yeah. I thought you were just playing on my gullibility for a second. Yeah, that's super cool. One, I love that concept of the video because I feel like the typical concept would be for the tank to be filling up, you know, just like that sense of dread. But I love that the water is actually going down. Yeah. Was that a super conscious choice that you wanted the water to be, you know, disappearing instead of rising?
Yeah, I mean, I basically just wanted it to be confusing. Mm-hmm. So yeah. and kind of everybody has that thing where like when water goes over your face or over your nose, you do that thing. Mm-hmm. And when you watch it happen to somebody else, I think there's this tension that builds up in you. And that song I wrote right after the grand jury came back with the no indictment on Eric Garner. Mm-hmm. And I Can't Breathe was something that was being said a lot. And so that was like suffocation and constriction and isolation were all themes that I was thinking about in the song and in the video. And so trying to evoke that sensation in people of like worrying about not being able to get breath was what I was going for with that video.
Yeah, and it totally works because it manages to be tense, but once again the water disappearing, so a lot of clashing elements, which I think is really cool. Yeah. Let's do another song, shall we?
Sure.
You're on your own, clinging to a script that you've gone off again, paging through to see where you went wrong again. You never let it die. I come alone, never bite my lips to say an idle word. But you can't listen in my entire world. They never let it die. You want me to say how much I need you, but I don't really see the need to. You want me to hold you like he held you, but isn't he the one that fell through? I just want to be the one you run to. So shut up and let me love you. You beg for dawn, the air you push is bitter, but I bite my tongue as fading night replaces all our brighter suns. You never let it die. We blunder on, losing hope that I can be your chosen one. You can't see what say it's shown and done. You never let it die. You want me to say how much I need you, but I don't really see the need to. You want me to hold you like he held you, but isn't he the one that fell through? I just wanna be the one you run to. So shut up and let me love you. You want me to say how much I need you, but I don't really see the need to. You want me to hold you like he held you, but isn't he the one that fell through? I just wanna be the one you run to. Shut up and let me love you. Ooh. Oh, myself to see. I don't know how we wound up in this game we're playing. I know I want you to shut up and let me love you.
You're watching Audiotree Live. We are live here in the studio with Mobley. You have this awesome light setup behind you. Do you have a huge vision in mind for each song when it comes to that as well? Like, what's the process of building those the light cues
Sure.
in conjunction with each song?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been doing the show this way in terms of lights and videos and all that for a few years. So now, whenever I have an idea for a song, really from like the first chord or the first strain of a melody, I'm already kind of thinking about lights because I know that I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty. I would say it's pretty deeply integrated into my concepts of the songs at this point.
Totally. One, would you say in the inverse of that the lights maybe inform your songwriting at all? Or
Absolutely.
Is that,
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of live performance, the whole stage is an instrument. You know what I mean? Like, I can do something with the lights that highlights a chord that I'm hitting or a lyric that I'm saying, and that's, in terms of the live performance, that's just as important as anything else. So yeah, this whole monster feels like one big instrument to me now. Yeah.
Totally. And when it's on the stage, is it way more spread out than it is now, or do you like to keep pretty close quarters?
I like to keep it pretty close. I think it well, for one thing, it helps me run back and forth.
You don't have to like run a mile each time.
Yeah, but I also think it kind of pulls the audience in a little bit if everything's really tight and almost claustrophobic.
Yeah, it makes a nice stage picture too with all
Yeah.
the different quadrants.
Yeah.
Let's go into the last song then.
Absolutely. Thank you.
He's so wanting, he's to needing. He used to saying, I used to see him. Things never did quite go your way. Don't be the one I throw away. Go on and leave me all alone again, so low. 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 Feel it on me, I'm kinda pleading. Can't help but want me, can't help you leaving. I've always had this gravity, I am. Beautiful things just crashing me, I am. Before they violently sky away. All alone again, so low. All alone again, so low. All alone again, so low. All alone again, so low.
watching Audiotree Live. We have been in the studio with Mobley. Thank you so much for being here. That was great. If you are in the greater St. Louis area, you can catch him at the demo tonight.
Firebird. It got moved.
Oh, it's Firebird. It's got moved
yeah,
to the Firebird.
yeah.
Good to know. And then he will be back in Chicago at Livewire Lounge tomorrow at the 23rd. I want to thank Mobley again for being here. You can get the Some Other Country EP right now. You can also download this session today once it's available, or just get it to stream. We want to thank the people in the sound booth for making us sound good. We want to thank the people. A little applause for them. We want to thank Cameron Lights for making us look good. And as always, thank you all for watching out there. Feel free to give us a shout out on social media if you want to interact with us. Have a great weekend, stay safe, and enjoy music. Bye-bye. Man, that was awesome. Seriously.